So if you guys will go to Schoology, and inside Schoology, there is this systems note sheet. If you could put that into Notability, that's what we're going to use for today. Okay, so if you guys could please do that now, let's get that systems note sheet. It should look like this, okay? All right, we're getting this here, we're getting this. All right, good. So a system of equations is kind of like what we were doing in our warm-up, except twice. So for example, we solved this problem on the board for a warm-up, 7r minus 3 equals negative 31, and we got that r equals negative 4. So that's one equation, but a system means that we have two equations. So if there's two equations, we need to come up with the magic sequence of numbers that makes both equations true. So there is only one single x and y value that make both of these equations true, and we want to find them. One way we can find them is solving by graphing. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to solve by graphing, and we'll do a different method next time. So the way to solve this by graphing, and this is a good review from like our last section, is I'm just going to graph this line. Okay, so if I graph that line, remember we have the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to graph that line very carefully on the graph. Start with the y-intercept of negative 2. So I will put a dot at negative 2. And then I have a slope of 2, meaning I'm going to go up 2 and over 1. So from this negative 2, I go up 2 and over 1 and put another dot. Then I'm going to do that a couple times. I'm going to keep going up 2 and over 1 so that I get a nice straight line. So we're just graphing just like we did before in slope intercept form, okay? Now I'm going to change colors because I did the top one in orange. I'm going to do then the bottom equation. I'll do that in blue. So I'm going to graph where I have a y-intercept of 8. Okay, so I'm going to start at 8, and then I have a slope of negative 3. So I start up on the y-axis at 8 and put a dot there. Okay, sorry, my display is lagging just a little bit. So I put a dot at positive 8. Then I have a slope of negative 3. So I'm going to go down 3 and over 1. So I go down 3 and over 1. Then I'll go down 3 and over 1 and down 3 and over 1. And so if I do that a couple times, of course, these two lines intersect. So the intersection is the magic number. That's the magic solution. So I'm then going to write my answer in red, because where these two things intersect, that is the answer I'm looking for. So that the coordinates of that point are over 2 and up 2. So it's at 2, 2. Okay, so this solution is what we're really looking for. We're looking for the intersection of those two lines. All right, I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna do part C, and then I'm gonna have you guys do part B in just a second. So let's do part C. I'm gonna graph the top line. Now this is, the top line is y equals -3. Remember, that is a horizontal line. So I just have a line at -3. The second equation, I'll do in blue. I have a y-intercept of 5 and a slope of 2. So I'll go up to 5 and put a dot there. And now I have a slope of 2. So from that dot, I'm going to go up 2 and over 1 and put a dot there, and up 2 and over 1 and put a dot there. And so that's going to determine my line. Now I want to be real accurate, so I'm going to actually also continue to go the other way with that pattern to make sure I get exactly where those two things intersect each other. You guys probably have a more steady hand than I do, but I really need to zero in on that intersection point. And so the place where those two lines intersect are at -4 and down 3. So that's at -4, -3. All right, so we're just graphing the two lines. Graph the first line, graph the second line, and then we want to find the intersection point. How about if you guys try part B, okay? All right, so let's take this top equation, and I'll do that in orange. So I'm going to have a y-intercept at -2. So I'll put a dot on the y-axis at -2. And then we have a slope of -1/2. So I'm going to, from here, go down 1 and over 2 and put another point. So remember to always check and make sure that your slope is going the right way. Okay, this is a negative slope, so it should be going downward from left to right. Okay, a couple of you guys just had a positive slope there, so be careful. I'll do the next line in blue. So I have a y-intercept of +2 now, so I'm going to have a dot up here of +2 and a slope of -3/2. So from that point, I'll go down 3 and over 2. And I get a spot there. Then I go down 3 and over 2, and down 3 and over 2. And so now I have the blue line coming right here. And so they do intersect, of course, right here. So to get the intersection of those two, I'm going to the right 4 and down 4. And so our solution is at 4, -4. All right, you guys seem to do pretty well with that as I walk around and look. Okay, well, the only other step that we're going to do then is, for some of them, they might not be in such nice forms like this. Sometimes you have to solve the equation for y. So, in fact, I'm going to skip this problem too, because we need to do that down here. Like I'm going to have to solve that guy for y. So let's do problem 3 together here. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna graph the top because that's already in a nice form, right? It's already y equals 2x plus 1. So I have a y-intercept of 1 and a slope of 2. And so I'm gonna graph that. My first dot is at positive 1. And then my slope of 2, I'm gonna go up 2 and over 1. And continue on that trajectory to get my first line. Now the problem or difference in this problem is that the second line, the one that we're going to make blue, is not in a nice form. So we need to first solve that for y. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation and solve it for y. So I'm going to like move the 5x over by subtracting 5x from both sides. And now when you do that, I get 2y is equal to, remember on the right side, they are not like terms. So I just have to leave it as negative 5x minus 16. We can't combine those into like negative 21 or something like that, okay? They're not like terms. So I have one more step, and I'm letting you guys catch up here. With the end goal that I want to solve this for y, so I'm going to need to divide everything by 2. And so I get y equals negative 5 over 2x. Fraction is okay because I'm going to do rise over run. And negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. So now I'm going to graph that blue line, okay? I have a y-intercept of negative 8 and a slope of negative 5/2. So my y-intercept is at negative 8. I put a dot there. And then my slope is negative 5/2. So if I go down 5 and over 2, I go off the screen. So I'm going to go up 5, but I have to remember to go over 2 the other way to get my next point. Because it's a negative, exactly. Because I have to make sure when I draw this blue line that it's going down from left to right, okay? And so now my intersection there is at, what is that at? Negative 2, negative 3, right? So our solution is negative 2, negative 3. All right, any questions, guys?